Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to explore some new features in the photomagic painting method. Let's go straight to the painting method. Since our last update, we have created a box-like painting. You can set box inner height so that there is an empty volume between the base of the box and the color layer, and the color layer works like a lid. Based on several users' input, I have added several other new controls, and they mainly do two things. Number one, there is a new control of base of color introduced. This is a thin layer of structure that is attached to the back of the color layers, because several users mentioned that it is useful to have such a layer, a base layer, when we print the color. When they flip the color, the base can produce a smooth finish. And if you put the base on the bed, the base can also be used as the initial layer, so that the color layers on top of it are relatively smooth. And the second main addition is the stopper. A stopper is a thin wall, relatively thin wall, that can create some friction between the lid and the box. So let's explore these parameters. Firstly, I'm going to load a template into the painting method. And this gives us a disk-like object. And obviously, the generation of such an object is dependent on our input settings. The base of color is 0, border size is 2, thickness is 3. And let's create an inner height. Let's set it to 10. So this will give you something like this. As you can see, the border has a step. And this is the traditional type of, that is the existing type of lid that we have. I can set base of color to, let's say, 2. Then you will get a slightly a thin layer of, apologies, 2. Click on this. I'm going to use explode E. So this thin layer of base is generated because of this control, base of color. I set it to 2. And there is a step on the border because we are currently constructing an existing type of lid. So in this release, I call this type of lid small lid. And the other one that is introduced is called a large lid. So if I click large, then you won't see the step. Instead, you will just see the entire thickness from the top to bottom. There is no step anymore. Okay. So first is the base of color. You can see the mechanism of base of color when we load a photo, color photo in this. Okay, I've loaded a color photo, and the thickness of the photo is layer height is 0.4. It's pretty thin. And right beneath the photo, the color layer, we have the base of color, the base of the color. You can configure this to any thickness you want. You can set it to 0.2. And then the base of the color becomes thinner than the color layers. Border size is similarly set as in the previous version. Box thickness, in the previous version, this was called base thickness. Because currently we are introducing a base of color, so I think if we still call this base, then this is going to introduce some confusion. It was referring to the gray box. So from this version now on, I'm going to call it box thickness. Box thickness is 2. and I can use the selection tool to select the box, and use the cutting tool, clipping tool, to clip inside the box. Okay, this is what it looks like inside. You can set this to 3, 2, 3, 4, any value you like. And then what is the stopper width and stopper height? Let's set it to a non-zero value. Stopper width, let's set it to 2. Stopper height, let's set it to 4. Hit the enter key. And then we use the keyboard shortcut E to explode it. That's the stopper. That's the stopper height. It is meant to touch the base of the box, touch the box. So the lid will not slide. It stops the lid from sliding on the box. We can see this more clearly by deleting. I'll temporarily delete the box. Object delete. Then you can see what's going on. This is the stopper. It is basically a thin wall. Do not set the width. Do not set. I don't recommend you set the width too big, because if the width is too big, let's say if you set it to 5, then we delete the box. If we set it to 5, the stopper becomes pretty wide. And if you put light in the box, this will block a considerable region of light, and it won't look good. So use a relatively small stopper width, 1 or 2, it's up to you. Then the stopper height is the length that is extended into the box. So this is basically the new add in this version. If we go to the small lid type, it's similarly set, except that the lid of the box is, let's set it to 50 so we can see this more clearly. Stopper. I just want to see inside. Okay, that's the step on the edge, and you can see the stopper as well as a little lip. Several users want to call this lip. Okay, now we have it. Okay, that's all. Last but not the least, I didn't play with the multi-layer setting. The multi-layer setting doesn't work well in this case. It is the single layer that works best with this type of box. If you use multi-layer, one of the use case is to use laser cutting. I mentioned in the previous video. So before we finish this video, let's save. I'll set it to large. And then let's save the model. Save it to desktop. And I want to show you batch load. I want to show you the STL generated in this case. With the color base, we will have a separate STL called color base. When you print the painting models, the box should be printed separately. And then you can, I recommend you print all the other STL files in one go. The STL file started with a layer is the color layer of a specific color, and the RGB value is printed. And the color base STL is the baseline, is the base layer beneath the color. By default, you should also print the color base together with the other STL in one go. You have to load it to your slicer. I just load them to LuBan in a batch. That means if I load everything in a batch, I can press up, down, left, and right key to browse these STL. So I'll use keyboard keys left, right, up, and down. These are the different color layers. They all look red in LuBan. It's only because of a display issue, because I don't know which color this is. An STL file by default is colorless. When you load these files in the slicer, such as bamboo slicer, you need to specify the color in the GUI. Okay, this is the base. This is the color base of the color. It has this little stopper. In your slicer, what you can do is, in LuBan, I'll call this merge, but in your slicer, it may not be called merge. Everything is just loaded in one. This merged file has all the 5 STLs, and you can press the select tool to highlight each STL, just so that you can see. The display of LuBan is not terribly clear because it's all in red. It doesn't show you what exactly it is. It actually composes of 5 STLs. I'm only going to use it as an example. So in your slicer, you should flip it to print. Otherwise, you will get support because of the stopper. So flipping this just like object transform. Of course, this is a LuBan function. Don't refer to this function. In your slicer, you have other flipping tool. You can flip along either X or Y axis by 180 degrees. Oh, apologies. We have to flip all objects instead of just one object. So I need to select all objects and then flip it. Once I flip it, this can be printed without the need of any support. Again, if I use the select tool, we can highlight the different color layers, including the color base layer. In your slicer, in your bamboo slicer or other type of slicer, you can specify different color to each of this STL. Okay. That is all. So in this video, we have covered how to generate a stopper, a larger format of the lid, as well as how to generate a base of the color layer. And when you print the base, especially when it has a stopper, I'd recommend you to flip the whole color layers as well as the base layer in order to print it without using any support. And the box can be printed just as it is. You do not have to do any change in the orientation. Okay, that is all for this video. Thank you for your attention.